Her name is Mushtaribonu, artist, content creator, traditional dancer all around from Uzbekistan. Let's take a deep dive into Uzbek culture with Mushtaribonu together.
I finally acknowledged that little girl in me that I was ignoring for so long. But when I finally did, the video just went viral.
Since I'm an Uyghur girl, you're an Uzbek girl, can we teach each other our own traditional dance? Da da dum da. Dum, dum, da.
In Uzbekistan, dance is diverse. We have all sorts of dance from each region. 20,000 people danced Andijan polka in a stadium.
So we have dolan dance.
Balloon dance, tell me about it. I'm open, but I'm also shy.
I pick a grape, I put it in my basket.
Yeah, there are around 100 versions of Uzbek pilaf in Uzbekistan. Shir Khurshid, this symbol on Sherdar Madrasa in Registan, and there was a lot of debate in the comment section.
Eşek bağımızladı.
Eşekler var, qishloqlarga borsangiz eşeklar bo'ladi.
What's your take on current state of patriarchy in Uzbekistan?
As if their value relied on their marital status. She knew exactly what she wanted. She stepped out of a marriage when she knew it wasn't serving her anymore. She was fearless.
Hi Divas, welcome back to Diva Wears Atlas, the first Uyghur woman-hosted culture, diversity, self-help podcast featuring success stories of diverse voices from all around the world. And today I have an Uzbek-Persian baddie with me. Her name is Mushtaribonu, and she is an artist, content creator, traditional dancer all around from Uzbekistan. So let's take a deep dive into Uzbek culture with Mushtaribonu together. Hi Mushtaribonu, welcome to Diva Wears Atlas. I'm so excited to have you.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
I discovered you scrolling on Instagram as usual. I get to learn Uzbekistan, Uzbek culture through you. You're so good at captivating micro emotions that we cannot describe, but so nostalgic in a way.
That's so sweet.
I have many Uzbek friends, but I've never heard someone with this name, Mushtaribonu. See, I love it so much I can't stop repeating it. Can you tell us about your name, origin, meaning, and everything?
So, Mushtaribonu, the reason it's not very common is because it's a Persian name. Mushtari, it means planet Jupiter, and also means a customer in other Turkic languages. And Bonu is an Arabic addition to the word. It's a suffix that means a beautiful lady. So together, that's a beautiful lady from Jupiter.
Oh my God, I love this name. I am going to name my daughter that now.
So sweet.
You said your name is Persian, and I know that you're Uzbek Persian. So what is it like growing up in both of these culture?
Because I was raised by my mom, I'm more connected to my Uzbek side. So I grew up in an Uzbek community with my grandmother, with my uncles and aunts. So it was like a whole big family living together in the same neighborhood. And my father, he wasn't always there. So until I was 8, my father, he used to visit us. So I used to see him, and I remember I have like vague memories of being with him, like hugging him, just looking forward to seeing him at home and swimming with him in canals. I grew up swimming in canals, by the way.
Wow.
Yes. Persian is a beautiful language. I wish I spoke Persian. Maybe one day. It's in my wish list. My father does. He speaks Farsi. He speaks Tajik as well. We've only been living together in the past few years, and when we reconnected, I moved away. First, I was in a different city in Uzbekistan. Then I moved to the UK. So I didn't really have an opportunity to sit with him and really talk about things, our Persian side, our ancestors from that side. So I wish I knew more, and I would love to talk about it. But yeah, I'm more connected to my Uzbek side.
We're definitely going to dive into all things Uzbek culture, language, dance, to bring your wealth of experience and knowledge to Diva Wears Atlas audience. So I'm excited to do that. And it's precious to see that you are still seeking ways to explore Persian side of the culture. What are some ways that you're actively connecting to Persian culture when you don't have the community and access around you?
So one thing that I used to do growing up was listen to a lot of Persian music. We had a stack of DVDs that we used to play, and there were a lot of like classic Persian singers, very beautiful songs. I used to listen to them and I used to dance. When I used to dance on the dance floor in weddings, people used to say, you have your father's steps. We naturally inherit movements, certain behavioral patterns from our parents. And I think this is something that I inherited from my father. They used to say, your father used to dance just like you. For a little girl who wouldn't get to see her father much, it definitely made me feel more connected to him. So yeah, through movies and music, and by connecting with people who are also Persians or who have mixed backgrounds like I do, I try to connect to my Persian side.
It's so interesting of your mix because there's a lot of Persian influence in Uzbek culture historically too. What are some Persian influences you noticed in Uzbek culture?
Recently, since I started like sharing a lot about my culture, I've noticed a lot of Persian influence in architecture in Uzbekistan. Recently, I made a video about Shir Khurshid, this symbol, on Shardar Madrasa in Registan, and there was a lot of debate in the comments section where people were arguing like this is the Turkic sign, and some people saying this is Persian. And I understand that because in that symbol we see a creature that we call sher, like lion, but is actually a tiger. But when you look at it, it has stripes. It has black stripes, and the face is definitely not one of a lion. So it looks like a tiger, and that is because it's believed that the 17th century artists who worked on that image, they had never seen an actual lion. So they based the creature on a Caspian tiger, which is now extinct. Drawing the face of anything, really, a creature or a person, was considered a taboo in Islam. So Yalangtosh Bahadur, he went for it because he wanted to claim his authority. And this was his way of claiming that, by choosing this symbol on a religious building. I wanted to touch on that in my following videos, but I just didn't want to raise even more controversy around it.
So that's a good example of Persian influence in Uzbek architecture. You live in London now. Can you tell me your journey from Uzbekistan to London and why you decided to leave and how has it been in London?
I lived in Uzbekistan my whole life. After quitting dancing at 15, I was on the path to do something more practical. So I ended up going to uni. That's when I moved to Andijan. It's a city in the east of Uzbekistan. It shares borders with Osh, Kyrgyzstan. I lived there for 5 years, and during this course of time, I started teaching. I started teaching English to students. It was a wonderful, beautiful journey when I gained a lot of friends, loving students. But deep down, I was not really happy. I knew I wanted to do something else. It just didn't feel right. When you think about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you reach this like top of it when now you're not really worried about survival anymore because you've got everything. You've met your basic needs and you've got beyond that point. Then you're going to be like, okay, now what? I was at this point and I was exploring different creative paths. When I decided to move to London, the decision came out of nowhere, really. It wasn't planned. I was just at this point where I had enough savings to start a new life. I could go anywhere. London was a safer choice, to be honest, because I already spoke the language and I knew the transition settling in this new country would be easier than, for example, if I moved to a different country in Europe where I didn't speak the language. I think that would have shaped my character even better, but I went for London. But still, it wasn't really a straightforward journey. I did a degree here in London. When I graduated, I got a job in marketing. And during this first year of my studies, I learned a lot about myself. I met a lot of people who reflected the sides of me that I never could accept or even admit that I have that. And I started working on that. So I was on this journey to becoming a better version of myself, but also understanding who I really am beyond all these expectations. Because this decision of moving countries and leaving my well-paying job and my safe space raised a lot of questions among my friends and family. Of course, like they wanted the best for me, And so they would understand what I was doing, and neither did I. I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew was I had to leave and start something new. So eventually, I started my photography journey. Then I picked up dancing again. I started doing a little bit of ballet, contemporary dance, commercial, and hip hop. I was trying all sorts of dance first to understand what feels most comfortable to my body, what feels most, what feels right with my body, because I hadn't danced in ages. My body has forgotten that, I still had the flexibility, the muscle memory, but I was very much disconnected from that world of dance. So I tried everything. And then I found the certain type of dance that felt right for my body, that felt most natural to me, and that smooth choreo and commercial dance. And I started doing it regularly. And everything changed because when I started dancing, it reopened my childhood memories as a dancer. Yeah, I haven't felt better. Sorry, I gave such a long response to one question.
No, that's
I could keep going.
no, keep going, please. You started from your dance when you were a little girl in Uzbekistan, and for some reason, all this journey from Uzbekistan to London, it all came back to dance, and so much has happened in the middle. You're such a great storyteller, and I loved hearing that. I'm really happy that you feel so yourself now, and I feel like from your answer and towards the end of what you're saying, you feel very aligned with who you are at this very moment, right?
That was something that I've always tried to achieve. I wanted to become the most authentic self of myself because, before I felt like I was living somebody else's life. It never felt like mine. There was still something bigger, like a bigger calling that kept telling me to do something about it. And I had to do it because I was ignoring this little girl in me who loved dancing so much for so many years. And I started noticing that. But that's a really important detail I forgot to mention earlier. So, in the first year when I was in London, I used to take myself on a lot of solo dates to theatre. As soon as performers would come on stage and start performing, I would then burst into tears. I would just cry, and it wasn't even at this emotional part of the scene, like when people would naturally cry. I was just crying because I finally acknowledged that little girl in me that I was ignoring for so long. I was like, yeah, thank you. You finally see me there. And this is how I felt when I was in that space. And I knew I had to do it again.
You mentioned that ever since you were in London, you discovered a lot of sides of you that you didn't know before. What are those sides? Is it the dancing that you just mentioned? Is there something else there?
That's not connected to my creative process. It's more about my identity. I have noticed a lot of narcissistic traits in me when I was with certain friends who triggered me, and I started asking myself like why I'm being triggered by this person or by this specific thing they did. And then I had understood that I do the exact same thing, and that's a part of me that I don't like. And I needed to face that. I needed to confront that part of me and work on that.
On that, I will have to say the people who question, am I narcissistic, is usually not that narcissistic. So I always reflect recently too, am I the problem? Am I a bad person?
Yes, right?
Yeah, so that's a really good sign of good self-awareness, and we're oftentimes the hardest on ourselves. And guess what? Narcissists never ever question themselves.
There was a lot of like internal crisis I was going through, questioning who I really am. And now, when I had finally acknowledged myself as someone who loves to dance, who loves to create, I then was also going through like a really tough time. I was experiencing episodes of depression, and I wanted to understand why it was happening, why I was reacting to certain situations that were seemingly trivial as if they were catastrophic. My reactions were really odd, and I noticed a pattern that has always been there since I was a little kid. A lot of my childhood wounds were triggered when I was in social situations. I thought I was just having a social anxiety, but then I realized there was something bigger than that. I decided to seek medical help, and I went to my GP and I asked them to refer me to ADHD, autism, and OCD assessments. Now I'm going through this assessment, and it's a journey that I have just begun, and I'm really excited about, because now all my life, a lot of things that happened to me make sense. I have the answers to the questions I've always had, things that I never understood about myself. It is a bittersweet feeling, really, because knowing that, you've always been different, and it was not something pretentious that you would yourself question sometimes. When people just say I'm weird for this, for just to be cool, I always felt weird, and my friends would call me out as weird too. And I thought it was just for the way I dressed, the way I spoke. Then I realized there's something bigger than that, something beyond that. Discovering that was a big revelation for me. Can't wait to talk about it more often. I can't wait to learn more about it.
Thank you for sharing vulnerably of this new journey of learning deeper about how our brain works. I can't wait for this new chapter of you knowing yourself better. So many self-discovery, deep introspection, all somehow surfaced when we are away from home in this like foreign land by ourselves. And that's like the benefit of going out there and building a life of yourself. You mentioned that people used to call you weird and you always notice something different about yourself, but I see it as a superpower. And I can see you're really living to your true self and not really conforming to become like anyone else. When I run into your content as well, it's a breath of fresh air. You've been sharing such amazing cultural content and yourself, your hobbies, your dance in such a whimsical way for people. What inspires you to make content? We'll start from there, I guess.
It all started from my regular trips to Uzbekistan after I moved to London. The biggest change happened in my last trip. It was a space for me to reconnect with my roots. And I came back with so much energy, so many ideas. This is when I started telling stories. I held a party for friends, this Uzbek themed party, where I told stories, and everybody was so tuned in and were listening to me. And I was like, wait, so these stories are interesting. They care about these stories. Then I said, why not share it with a bigger audience? Why not share it with everybody? And let's see how that goes. And I had this idea of talking about jam because I brought some jamalak with me from Uzbekistan, and I wanted to talk about it, but I postponed that idea for a month. But when I finally did, the video just went viral, and I had no idea what was coming. And that all started from there, because when I made another follow-up video, people kept asking me, what is that? What is jamalak anyways? And then I made a video talking about jamalak. Then people listened to me. I never thought I would make content where I would be talking to the camera directly. I didn't think, I had anything before. Like, I felt like I couldn't hold the audience, I couldn't captivate them with what I was saying. Maybe it was because I really cared about what I was talking about, and people were watching it, and it meant so much to me. My journey started there at the end of May. And it's been 2 months and a half. I've connected with so many amazing people online, a lot of creatives from Central Asia, connected with you, and now I'm talking with you. It's just so surreal, and I'm so happy and grateful for this.
And it's another cathartic moment because you started your career early in Uzbekistan teaching English, and now you're using English to teach your culture to people. And it's the similar thing that I am doing now. I also used to teach English back home. So we have like a little parallel, identical journey. Yeah. Let's now go back a little bit to the beginning of your story. You danced since you were 8 years old up until 15. Tell us about your little girl dancer self.
My whole dancing journey, it started at the age of 6. This is when I went to gymnastics. I picked up rhythmic gymnastics when I was very little. I quickly became really into it because, especially now when I look back as an neurodivergent person, I understand why it made so much sense, because when you're in that space and fully present in your body, you don't have to do the talking, and don't have to deal with a lot of people and interactions, and it becomes so much easier. Now I understand why it felt so natural to me to be in that space. Just around this time, I started dancing. I started as a traditional Uzbek dancer. We were taught a lot of other different styles of dancing, cultural mainly, belly dance being among them, flamenco and tango, but mostly traditional Uzbek dance. But that would cover a lot of regional dances. In Uzbekistan, dance is diverse. We have all sorts of dance from each region. We trained in all of them. And it was such a beautiful journey, being excited to wear all these costumes, like golden tiny shoes, headpieces, doing our hair into jamalak, into small braids, staying up all night to do that with my mother, going and performing and coming back with like lost items, either one of my socks missing. And it would always be a journey. I had really funny stories from that.
Even now, recalling this memory, I can see so much joy on your face. So this is so precious. So that is very interesting. Uzbek dance is not just Uzbek dance, one type of dance. It varies from region to region. Can you tell us about some of the types and genres of Uzbek dance you know?
The ones that are very distinct, I could start with Surkhan dance. I'm starting with that because I remember one of my followers messaged why do you never talk about Surkhan dance? And I said, just give me some time, I will. And hopefully I will I will talk about it more on my page later. Surkhan dance, it differs, it stands out with its costume. So it's baggy costume, baggy dress, really. There's a lot of embroidery on the costume itself, and they have a special headpiece that's also braided. We used to braid it ourselves, but I don't know how the professional ones were made. They also had special duppe of their own, which is lighter than, for example, the other types of duppe that you see from Margilan, from Tashkent. The dances, it involves a lot of footsteps, jumping, a lot of jumping, hopping, I would say. A lot of
I can
hopping.
visualize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And head movements, a lot of hand movements. That is Surkhan dance.
Is Surkhan a region in Uzbekistan?
Surkhandaryo. Yes, there is.
Surkhandarya, yes. Okay. So uneducated, but all right. What else?
Of course, we've got Bukharian dance, Harazm dance, Harazm Lizgi. You definitely have heard about that. It's a type of dance where you see these kinds of hand movements. You must have seen that.
Yeah,
Yes!
I've seen it.
Yeah, actually, I love that. They have really intricate headpiece that shimmers as you move and makes little beautiful sounds. They also use little rocks in their heads that they make to make sound, that they use when they dance. They clap them together to make a sound, or they use their hands to make the sound. I'm not really good at that one, but they make a sound with their hands as well. Bukharian dance, they also have their special headpiece. The dress is very similar to Surkhan, but it's more fitting than Surkhan costumes. The colors are more royal colors, like royal blue, royal green. That's more Bukharian colors. There's a lot of spinny in Bukharian dance. But of course, I can't skip Andijan polka. I'm not sure if you have heard about it, but recently Andijan polka it entered a Guinness World Records.
You know how I know about that? I watched your videos. I learned it from you.
Yeah, 20,000 people danced Andijan polka in a stadium. This is how they earned the Guinness World Records. There's a really beautiful history behind it. The sound itself, this quick sound that you hear, polka, it was created at a wedding when a musician was performing, and the people, with excitement, they kept requesting the musicians to play something more fun, and they kept asking it, make it more fun, make it more fun. And he kept playing, and really quickly that he created a tune, and that became known as Andijan polka. And then they created this dance. When you see Andijan polka being performed by men and women, they usually wear mahse, special shoes they wear that's made of leather and very light and easy to move in. And they have a duppe, the traditional black and white duppe. They usually have belboch, that's a piece that they wrap around their waist. One thing that you would definitely recognize about Andijan polka is they sometimes carry pilaf in their hands. It's so beautiful to see a piece of our culture being integrated into the dance. It's just so beautiful.
I can tell these traditional dances, it's not just a dance move. The costumes, the music, everything ties together to make this piece of art. What is your personal favorite dance, traditional Uzbek dance to dance?
The one where they represent the bird, because when you represent a bird, your movements are more elegant and soft, and you move like a bird, and you move like it looks like you're moving on water. Very elegant footsteps as well. And the dress that you wear, because you're representing a bird, the dress is going to be designed accordingly, and it's just so beautiful. And your headpieces, you're probably gonna wear tulakoshe with a big feather, and your dress is gonna come towards your middle finger here. It's connected to your hand, so yeah, everything is just fully aligned, and you're just a bird dancing on stage, and it's the most beautiful thing.
Because I'm Uyghur too, hearing different types of Uzbek dances are very interesting. From my exposure to Uzbek culture, I always think our dances are so similar, just the generic DNA identity of it, the bones of it. But when you broke it down into region, I can see the Uzbek identity there, very much so. I want to share with you some Uyghur types of dance. I don't know if you have heard about it, or maybe it reminds you of some parallel in Uzbek culture, probably. So we have Dolan dance.
Balloon dance, tell me about it.
Yeah, it's more rough, more grandiose. I think it comes from this farmer culture, our life as an
Ooh.
agricultural farmer. And it's also regional. Dolan dance uses its own instruments, and it's from southern part of the region. But we also have Chine dance. It's a type of very elegant dance. The girls would put plates on top of their head and hand,
Ooh.
balance it and spin around. And they wouldn't attach it to their head or anything. They stack the chine on top of their head. And then towards the end, they always like take it off, switch different hands and show you it's all organic, and then actually pour a bowl of like chai, stick chai sometimes cut chai. So you don't have that?
It is very much similar to under jump polka. They also put it on their heads as well, like men when they're like dancing on their heads and on their back, and they dance with that with pilaf.
You guys like hold the pilaf, we hold the chai. That's the difference.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, and there's so many more, and this is a good opportunity for me to get more educated and share with people too. Okay, since we're talking about dance, we both love dance so much. I also love dancing. I think every Central Asian girl has this dancing blood.
It's so like integral to our culture. We're just all naturally really good dancers.
Well, what I wanted to do right now is play a little game. Since I'm an Uyghur girl, you're an Uzbek girl, can we teach each other our own traditional dance? Maybe one move at a time, and we will switch. We'll do like 3 moves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with this move that we use when it's like, you're shy. So you do this, you do that, and then you bring that, and then you move your head. Yeah, but with your little finger showing like that.
Dum ta ta dum ta dum
Da,
dum
you-
ta ta
Yeah.
ta dum ta dum dum ta. That's your move. My turn. Okay.
Yes.
I want to say you stole my move because we have the exact same move. Since you're going with the shy seam, I'll also do a shy Uyghur dance move. Mine will be like, don't look at me. I'm opening the blind, I'm closing it. Opening it, closing it. You can do the whole arm or you can do the palms. And then you have to look to the side. You're doing great.
Yeah.
And you have to be really shy. Peek, I'm not looking. When you close, you have to look away. The only time I get to be shy is when I dance Uyghur dance. And in real life, I am not shy at all. Okay, your turn. Move number 2.
You go like that, and then you do that. Meaning is also something similar. Like I'm open, but I'm also shy.
Come, but don't come.
Really confusing, I know.
This is one of the most classic hand placement, almost like a ballet, but with our wrist out, and then we move our head.
Oh yeah.
And you can add your legs like extended out, and then open it up to other side.
Right? Yeah.
I pick a grape, I put it in my basket.
Ooh, I love that.
You're doing so good. Last move.
I was so into picking the fruit.
Maybe we should do a man move.
I'm gonna teach a very important hand movement in Andijan polka. So it feels like you're working on the field. And so which means your hands are gonna be very strong and you're gonna have this like fist and you're going like that. That.
Ooh.
Yes, and that.
I'm kind of dressed for it today.
Exactly. Yeah, you do. You do look like you're ready to dance under polka. You're ready to hit the stage. And when you
Yeah.
do that, your chin goes up to like, yes, I'm proud to
Oh.
be Uzbek.
Okay, this is great. I have to top that. Something as powerful as that for Uyghur men dance move. We do.
Okay. Is it like saying hi?
Yeah, and we bounce around, bend our knees, and spin around, or like shrug our shoulder. Yeah, good job. But with our man move, our hands are not bent or anything. It's more like blocky, like this.
Like-
Yeah, fingers do not separate.
Oh, I like that.
Wow, that was an exercise. If you're listening, definitely watch it back sometime for this segment. Now, I want to do a rapid fire round for the rest of the amazing, diverse Uzbek culture. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Your favorite Uzbek food?
Oh, pilaf, definitely. Yeah, there are around 100 versions of Uzbek pilaf in Uzbekistan. My personal favorite is Andijan pilaf. I lived the last 5 years in Andijan before I moved to London, and this is how the food really grew on me. They use a different type of rice to make that. They use brown rice rather than white rice. So they call it devzira.
Which city are you from?
I was born and raised in Jizak. We are known for Jizak samsa. It's the biggest samsa ever that you're gonna try, and it's round and it's made in tandoor. People travel across cities just to eat Jizak samsa.
Which cities are crucial for Silk Road from Uzbekistan?
I will have to say Samarkand, Bukhara, and Khiva. I think they played a very important role in Silk Road, and there was a huge silk business in those cities, I believe, especially in Bukhara and Samarkand.
What's your favorite Uzbek musician?
I admire Sevara Nazarkhan, and her songs they have a really heavy emotional weight to them. She really sings from the heart.
Can you share a historic Uzbek figure that comes to mind that's important to Uzbek people?
Yeah, when you think of literature, you're gonna have to think about Alisher Navai, Babur, and from more contemporary writers, you're going to think of Abdullah Qadri. When you think about history and war, then Amir Timur, Jalaluddin, and Tomaris as an embodiment of woman power. She is a female role model to many girls.
I love that. Since you mentioned the female empowerment piece, it makes me want to talk about patriarchy's presence in Uzbek culture. And as a young, amazing, independent, fierce girl, what's your take on current state of patriarchy in Uzbekistan? Big question.
Oh, I'm really glad to see that things are changing, that women are speaking up. Compared to those times when they would shrink themselves just to make themselves comfortable and less intimidating for men, to make them feel comfortable. Whenever they see something is not right, women are not keeping it to themselves anymore. And because there's a really big emphasis on education, women, girls, they're going into education there, and they have their own degrees. They know what they're doing. They have like amazing careers, and they don't rely on a man for financial support anymore, which is a big win for us. Because now that they're independent, they're like, what else? Okay, what else can you offer? Because for many years, that was the only thing men could offer. That was the main thing, financial security. Yeah, this is what you relied on when you chose to marry. Marriage was placed upon women as this must thing to do, like as if their value relied on their marital status. Not being married was not accepted. You had to marry and you had to have kids, and that was the that was seen as the main role of a woman. Like, this thing where women belong to the kitchen, that was a big thing for many years, but it's changing. I'm really happy to see that change. I'm really proud of the girls who are making this impact right now in society.
That is so true. I talked about this on my podcast before too. The change in my family started from our generation. I saw my mom pour tea and prepare food as my dad sit entitled in front of guests. I always didn't like that. I always like, pour it yourself. The viewpoint on marriage too, it's all like individualized to what we want. So speaking of strong female figure. I've seen that you share about your grandmother. Can you talk about some of the female figures in your life and how they have influenced you and empowered you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start with my mom. She's always been this person who is always emotionally available. And her kindness has always inspired me. I don't think I'm ever going to be as tolerant and kind as her, whether or not it has benefited her. She's always been this person. But as for strong female figures in my life, it has to be my grandmother. She's always been the inspiration. She never settled for anything that she knew she didn't deserve. She knew exactly what she wanted, and she stepped out of a marriage when she knew it wasn't serving her anymore, when it was only taking away what she already had. She was fearless. She lived like that until her last day. She retired and couldn't even stay at home, and she went straight back to work again because she was such a workaholic. She loved what she was doing. She loved her job, and like all the women in our town looked up to her. Everybody knew her name and who she was. She was in medicine, so she helped a lot of women. Whenever someone asks me about family, she's that person that I think of.
I'm gonna cry. For your grandmother to do that at her time, to decide her own marriage situation and keep working like that ahead of time. Icon.
Exactly.
Diva.
Right.
Yeah, one thing we haven't really talked about is the language. And I know Uyghur language and Uzbek language are so close. Should we play another game? Should we try to speak in Uygurca and Uzbekcha and see how much we understand each other?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay. Özümüzün tili bilan lam davamlaşdırıb sözlər verəylik. Şundaq bolsunmu?
Bo'ladi.
Astroq so'zlay-ya, asta so'zlay-ya.
Asta gapirsangiz tushunaman. Hozir gapirdingiz, oxirgi gaplaringizdan tushunib oldim nima deyotganingizni.
Yaxshi. Nima deb so'rasam bular? Men obyetin dedim-ku, O'zbekistonga bormoqchi, kelgusida safar qilib shu yerga bir cho'glab o'ynab kelgim bor. Shuni men O'zbekistonga berib qolsam, masalan, qaysi shaharlarga berishim kerak? Sizdan bir fikringizni anglab boqay.
Albatta, O'zbekistonga borsangiz, birinchi navbatda siz bizni poytaxtimiz Toshkentda bo'lasiz va Toshkentda hayot zamonaviyroq. U yerda siz o'zingizga kerakli bo'lgan hamma narsani topa olasiz, lekin bizni madaniyatimizni to'liq tushunish uchun, vaqtingizni zo'r o'tkazish uchun tarixiy shaharlarga borishni maslahat bergan bo'lardim. Buxoro, Xiva, Samarqand, albatta borishingiz kerak har bittasiga, chunki ularning har birini o'ziga yarasha alohida turli xil madaniyati va arxitekturasi bor. Har bitta davlatga borganingizda kichkinagina o'zingiz bilan suvenircha olib, ovqatlaridan tatib ko'rib, odamlar bilan suhbatlashib ko'rib, menimcha mazza qilgan bo'lardingiz. Agar vaqtingiz ko'proq bo'lsa, kelgan tog'li joylarga borsangiz bo'ladi. Toshkentda tog'li joylari bor. Vodiyga borsangiz, vodiyning yo'llarini yursangiz, agar poyezdda sayohat qilsangiz, Toshkentdan vodiy tomonlariga juda chiroyli manzara, mazza qilasiz. Keyin Andijonga borib, Andijon oshidan yeb keling.
Voyay, ajab yaxshi. Albatta, sizlarning madaniyatlaringlarni cho'nqur tushungim bor-da. Shunga siz degan bu butun shaharlarni berib kelishim kerak. Poyezd o'tiribmi, jirahna yalagimni berib ko'rib kelsam bo'laverdi. Poyezdni demang, yilqinimi sizlarning eshak bormi sizlarda?
Eshaklar bor, qishloqlarga borsangiz eshaklar bo'ladi. Mana onamlar Navoiydan. Navoiyda bizda haliyam bor, eshakda xizmat qiladigan insonlar bor. Oxirgi marta qishlog'imizga borganimda kuzatdim o'zim, eshakda o'tib. Men kichkinaligimda o'zim eshakda minganman. Yaqin kelasiz hayvonlarga, qishloqlarga borsangiz, havosi boshqacha, ovqatlari boshqacha.
Oyjon, hozirlan bag'im kelib ketdi. Havolar yaxshi, ko'p hayvonlarmi bor. Yezg'i bag'ini endi eshak minib borsam bo'laverdi. Men minib boqqan kichik vaqtimda. I literally fully understood you. Like besides the maybe a little details. When I go to Uzbekistan, I'll definitely just speak Uygurcha to everyone.
They're gonna get you because I could understand, although there were a few words that I was trying to understand. But from the context, you can always understand.
What can people expect from Mushtaribonu? What are you working on right now?
I call myself a multidisciplinary artist because my art explores a lot of different themes and I use different means to tell stories. I'm a visual storyteller, so I do photography and I create short films to tell stories. I also travel a lot, and I try to tell stories through my travels, and I share them online.
I think the through line is that from what I hear, you are an artist and you are always going to be one, and in so many
Yes.
different creative ways. Where can everyone find you?
They can find me on Instagram. Terry Loves Red. I have recently created a new account, Mushtaribonu Hoshimova, where I'll be sharing my stories as a neurodivergent person growing up in Uzbekistan, dedicated to Uzbek audience, but I'll be speaking mainly in Uzbek.
Thank you so much for your time today. Rahmat vaqtingizga, Mushtaribonu.
Rahmat.
I'll see you either in London or Uzbekistan. How about that?
Yeah, I can't wait. Bye.